In this video, we'll look at equivalent fractions and simplifying fractions. So equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions are fractions that describe the same part of a whole. And we find equivalent fractions by multiplying or dividing the numerator and denominator by the same non-zero factor. So I want to find two fractions equivalent to 6/8. Well, what I can do, I know I can divide both 6 and 8 by the same number and get a whole number. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 6/8 is equal to 3/4. I've divided the numerator and denominator by the same non-zero factor. But I also can multiply the numerator and denominator by the same non-zero factor. So let's choose maybe 2a. 2a. 6/8 is also equal to 12a over 16a. As long as I'm multiplying the numerator and denominator by the same thing, I will have equivalent fractions. Let's take a look at simplifying fractions. A fraction is in its simplest form when the numerator and denominator have no common factors other than the number 1. So if 1 is the greatest common factor, then the fraction is simplified. So to write a fraction in simplest form, we divide the numerator and denominator by the greatest common divisor. And the ladder method helps us do this. So let's look at 36/54. Okay, I'm going to use the ladder method to find the GCD here. So I know 9 goes into 36, and it also goes into 54. It goes into 36 4 times. It goes into 54 6 times. 4 and 6 have a common factor. That's 2. 2 goes into 4 twice. 2 goes into 6 3 times. And so when I look at this, 2 and 3, they have no other common factors, right? My greatest common divisor is the product of 9 and 2. So my greatest common divisor is 18. So I could divide 36 by 18. I could divide 54 by 18. 36 divided by 18 is 2. 54 divided by 18 is 3, right? I actually get those numbers right here at the bottom of my ladder. So when I use the ladder method, what I'm left with at the bottom, that is going to give me my GCD. My simplified fraction. So let's look at what's really happening when we divide by the GCD. This is going to help us when we have variables in our numerators and denominators. So 36, if I want to change 36 and I want to rewrite it with its prime factors, 36 is 4 times 9. So its prime factors are 2 times 2, which is 4, times 3 times 3, and that's 9. 54 is 6 times 9, right? So if I want to get its prime factors, it's 2 times 3, that's my 6, times 3 times 3, that's my 9. So when I'm finding the greatest common divisor, one way to think about this is, well, what factors do they have in common? They share a 2 in common, a 3 in common, and another 3, right? So my GCD is 2 times 3 times 3, the factors they have in common. But watch what happens when we cancel out all of these common factors. Well, what am I left with? I'm left with that simplified fraction, 2/3. Okay? We want to use that same idea when we look at problems with variables. So if I have something like a to the 4th and over a to the 3rd, let's say. Well, if I look at what a to the 4th really means, it really means a times a times a times a. And a to the 3rd is really a times a times a. Well, again, if I look at what's the greatest common divisor, I circle what they share in common, right? They share a in common. So the GCD is a to the 3rd. And if I wanted to simplify this fraction, I would cancel out whatever they have in common, and I am left with a over, not 0, but 1. Remember, because there's the understood 1 here, or just a. All right, so let's use those ideas to help us simplify these fractions here. Okay, so first, I can always use my ladder method to help me get my simplified fraction. 16 and 24, if I divide by 4, 4 goes into 16 4 times and into 24 6 times. If I divide by 2, I get 2 and 3. And then if I look at A, C, and A, well, if I just cancel out those common factors, right, just the A's there, I'm going to be left with 2C in my numerator and 3 in my denominator. Remember, the 2 and the 3 are coming here from my ladder. If I divide 16 by the GCD, which is 8, I get 2. 24 divided by 8 gives me 3. These A's canceled out, and I'm left with C. If I look at my GCD for 12 and 36, right, I know 6 goes into 12 twice, goes into 36 6 times, and 2 goes into both of these 1 time here and 3 here. So remember, this is my simplified coefficients here, 1/3. And then if I want to look at what m to the third n squared really means, right? M to the third m squared really means m times m times m times n times n. And m to the fifth n is going to be 5 m's and 1 n here. All right, so what do they have in common? They have 1, 2, 3 m's in common and 1 n in common. And if I cancel out all the factors that they have in common, I'm left with my simplified fraction here, which is going to be n over m squared. So I just want to put all of this together. So I've got 1 in my numerator and n in my numerator, so 1n, or just n. I have 3 in my denominator and m squared in my denominator, so 3m squared. And that's the simplified fraction. Here are 3 problems for you to try on your own. Number 1, I want to write 2 fractions that are equivalent to 3n over 8. Well, I can multiply 3n over 8 times anything I want, really. As long as you multiply it by the same thing, you're going to be just fine. So let's say I chose to multiply 3n over 8 times 10. Okay, I'll end up with 30n over 80. Or I could take 3n over 8, and maybe I want to multiply it by n. I'm going to get 3n squared over 8n. Okay, there's infinite amount of answers you could put here. As long as you multiply the numerator and denominator by the same thing, you'll be just fine. All right, number 2. 42/98. Okay, I'll use my ladder method to help me here. 42/98. I know 2 goes into both of these. I get 21, and I get 49. And then I want to divide by 7, and I get 3 and 7. And the greatest common factor of 3 and 7 is just 1, so that is my simplified fraction here, my numerator and my denominator. So I get 3/7. 16a to the 4th c over 80a to the 6th c. Okay, again, use my ladder, get 16 and 80 in there. I can divide by 4. 4 goes in 16 4 times, into 80 20 times. I can divide by 4 again. I get 1 and 5. So I know at least in my fraction, I'm going to have 1/5. And then I want to take a look at my variables. A to the 4th, so a times a times a times a times c. And then a to the 6th times c. A times a times a times a times a times a times c. And what do we have in common here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 a's in common, and a c in common. So the greatest common divisor of a to the 4th c and a to the 6th c is going to be a to the 4th c. Then I want to get rid of or cancel out all of my common factors here. So I'm left with a squared in the denominator. So my numerator, I only have 1 in my numerator, right here, right? And understood 1 here. And then in my denominator, I have 5a squared. And that's how we write equivalent fractions and simplify.